Time for us to head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about that Amari Cooper trade.
Hi. I just saw the trade that just went down. We just brought Amari Cooper. And I'm so excited. I just want to know, after trading for Amari Cooper, are the Browns still going to draft a wide receiver? What do you think they need to do?
All right, a very good question by one of our young voicemailers. So that's the question, Tim. What do you think? Now, it's a zero. You got rid of Landry, you brought in Cooper, so you upgraded it a little bit. You're going to miss Jarvis Landry. There's still a need in that wide receiver room. Are the Browns locked in at 13 to wide receiver, or do they go edge? What do you think?
If I thought, before the Cooper thing that I would have been 90% leaning towards receiver number 13, I think I'm down to about 65%. I still think, it would be the prevailing way to go, at least right now, unless they were to sign an Allen Robinson or a DJ Chark in free agency to really give them two top-notch veterans. And then I think you have all these options open. But for Andrew Berry, and what we've known since he's come to Cleveland, is the thing that he loves the most is flexibility. He wants options. He wants to not be pigeonholed into making certain decisions. And up until the Cooper trade, you kind of had the feeling, at least with 13, that he would almost have to take the best receiver available. And now that's not necessarily the case. Say George Karlaftis, the defensive end from Purdue, who I really love, I think has top 5, top 7 potential. Say he falls to 13. All of a sudden, you have a difficult decision to make. Do you want to take a receiver like Drake London, who gives you something in receiver that even with Amari Cooper, they don't have in a big 6'4" guy who's almost impossible to cover one-on-one simply because of his size? Or do you want to take a really good, powerful edge rusher, almost got some Joey Bosa in his game, and put him opposite Myles Garrett? Either way, you'd have a really good cost-controlled option where money's always going to be at a premium. But again, it creates options, and that's where Andrew Berry wants to be. He does. Just the fact that now he doesn't have to be forced into taking a receiver at 13, it really maybe changes the calculus a little bit with that pick.
The other thing is I'm sure there's like a couple of guys that if they're there, that's who they want. And it may be Garrett Wilson, it may be Karlaftis, maybe one of the Georgia guys. But now you can say, okay, if this guy, regardless of position, is there, we're going to take him because we absolutely think, he can be a star at that position, as opposed to, man, we really need a wide receiver who can be a number one. And if Garrett Wilson is there, I think it's probably going to be awfully tough for Andrew Berry to pass on a Garrett Wilson.
I agree with you, just because of the fact that he's so explosive and he can play on the perimeter and play in the slot. Then you could have Cooper and Wilson who could go both inside and outside. They're both very dynamic receivers. Wilson may be more dynamic because of his incredible body control and leaping ability than Cooper. But if he's there, I was kind of joking with my colleagues that maybe if he's there, it should be a pretty easy decision for Andrew Berry to make, just because he's the best, most complete receiver in. I think you'd slot him in. He'd be a very good number 2 right away, with the potential maybe one day to even usurp Amari Cooper as the number 1 down the road.